Hello, Minesh Bakshi here, and we'll keep an eye on our speaker. Looks like he has had some technical difficulty and hasn't been able to get on the show yet. So Keith is watching out for that. In the meantime, a lot of people had asked me about the 15 keys to ideal business. So what I'm going to do is just quickly walk through that because I think it's of value to anybody who's looking to start or be in a business. Because it is what it is, regardless of how you feel, whether you feel things are going to stay the same, come back to normal, or you think things won't stay the same, what I'm going to share with you will apply in any system, any company, any country, anywhere, right? Okay. So if you are somebody who has some idea of owning a business, or you are somebody who owns a business, you and I want to learn what it takes to succeed. But see, here's what the problem is. If you succeed in a business that doesn't give you what you're looking for, doesn't really help, does it? Okay. So again, your goals are your goals, and I'm going to be sharing some of my goals with you on why I have the business that I have. Because what I have found out is a lot of people start in a business for whatever reason. Maybe they got excited about it, maybe they saw somebody else do it and they wanted to do it. They were a cook, they loved cooking, so decided, okay, I will open a restaurant, and so on and so forth. Or their parents had a business, they jumped into that business. So they started in a business, but they didn't really ask a key question. And the key question is, what is my lifestyle goal and what is my result at the end of owning and leaving this business? So, what does that mean? My in laws used to own a Chinese restaurant. They owned it for 45 years, the whole family, grandfather, father, and then children. And actually, the children are over 64 years old. So, nobody was going to run it unless the next generation stepped in, and the next generation wasn't prepared, wasn't interested. So they decided to close the restaurant and sell it. See, the key part is the restaurant itself had zero. Let me repeat it, zero sale value. So what did they sell? The property. The property was in a prime location, lot of big area, great, fantastic, no problem. So they were able to sell it, frankly, before the pandemic problem happened. But it is obvious to me that not every business is sellable. Now, Regina was talking about it too. You have to have profit, and the profit should happen with you not being there. Because if you own a business and it is profitable, but only if you are there, then it's still not really a sellable business. So, what you and I have to ask is, yes, we are in a business or we are starting a business, but what are the two things that I should get out of it? What are the two things I should get out of it? Number one is lifestyle. See, if you don't get the lifestyle you want from the business, it's the wrong business, right? The number two is, once you end the business, once you exit the business, what is the result? So I'll give you another example. I have a good friend has owned a massage therapy place for over 20 years because of the challenge. And the people blame the pandemic. I don't call it pandemic, I call it something else. But anyway, the bottom line is she had to close the place because the executive order said can't have it running. So now that she has closed her business, she's making no money from it. So that's part of it. She does not own the building that her business operates on. So let us say for the business to be closed for, I would say, 3 months, right? There is still mortgage to be paid and everything else. There are still these massage therapists who used to work there. Some of them may not be able to sustain themselves. I don't know their situation as well. And let us say in 3 months, she decides this is not really going to work out. This business is not what it will take to get it restarted, get the clients to be back, people to be comfortable being touched. All of that stuff will be very expensive. And maybe because in her case, she's quite older, right? She might just say, I'm closing the business. She may get zero for that business. Yes, it was a good job. And while she was operating it, there was some income from it, right? Okay. Sometimes she didn't have to operate it fully, but there was some income, not as much as somebody might imagine. But the bottom line is what? She is getting zero, like zero income from that once she sells or closes the place. So the question you should ask yourself is, am I getting into a business where I know the lifestyle I can have? And number two, when I walk away from it, what will I have? Because if you are investing your time in any entrepreneurship, any business, but you don't have clarity on those two things, I'm sorry, you are missing the key part of owning the business as a business. Now, you may have fun, you may enjoy it, you may like doing it. That's different. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is, do you want to own a business like a business should be for your situation? So let's review what I would call the 15 keys to ideal business. Now, most businesses will not have this. They can't satisfy those 15 keys, but if you have maximum of them, then you are further ahead. And if you're watching and you're like, Manish, I would like that list, please let me know so I can get you that list. Just private message me at Minesh Bakshi on the Facebook, and you will be able to get that, right? So let me give you clarity, or you can actually go to minesh@mbaxi.com. That's my email address. And then I will give that to you in a minute here as well. And then I'll send it to you. So let's review this very quickly so you can see the points that I want to make to you, because most people may not understand, because it's something which is easy for us to think about, right? Okay. But it is not something which is really executed very well, in my opinion. Okay. So let's just look at this here. I'm going to show this to you so that way you are able to see my screen. Okay. So let me just show on screen. This might be a better way to put it. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. So I don't see the screen properly here. So maybe it does show up. Okay. There you are. So I'm a business and financial coach. I've been doing this for 20 years, and my goal is very simple. I want you to enjoy a lifestyle, right? Lifestyle is the key. If you have a business and you don't have the lifestyle you want, what the heck are you doing, right? Okay. So let me cover this information here, because over a time period of the next few minutes, while we wait for the next speaker, I want to make sure that you are able to understand this information here. Okay. So these are the 15 keys to ideal business in the new economy. Okay. And what I will do is I'll see if I can learn about the information uh, on the uh, on the chat. Maybe if you have any questions, you can send that to me as well. But sometimes when you put on the screen, it's a little harder to do that. So have you noticed that the world has changed dramatically? In USA, 30 million people applied for unemployment. Okay, that's a lot of people. Would you all agree with me? 30 million people. And if that many people have applied, then you know the world has changed dramatically, right? It has changed dramatically. I do not believe we will have the same situation as before. Now, the reason I believe, I'll explain that to you in a minute. Disney World cannot lose $30 million a day and be back to normal anytime soon. And the social distancing standards will be pretty strict for a long time. So that will take some while. But the biggest problem is people have been spooked. That is the bigger problem. The bigger problem really is when people are panicking, they are not going to make good decisions. They're not going to make logical, rational decisions. Now, whether you agree this is a very tough situation disease wise or you don't, the problem is if there are enough people who are afraid, then obviously it will affect the behavior, and hence it will affect the business community as well. Okay. So let's talk about very simply how this is going to be affecting a lot of people. Okay. So let's go to the next slide here. Okay. Now here is what I told yesterday. Were you told go to school, get a good job, securing job? Well, 30 million people found out they don't have a secure job. My dentist is twiddling his thumbs, doesn't have a job, right? Or has an office but can't go there, right? So I've been a business coach for 20 years and I've seen all types of businesses. I know people who have failed, and now know people who make $1 million a month, right? So there are a lot of people that I have seen through this process. So here is the list of qualities that I have compiled. And again, it's an ideal list, which means every business will not. So your job is to go through this list and then see, does your business have some or most of these qualities? Because if you are not paying attention and you build something that can go away, I don't think you're going to be happy about it, right? Okay, so here is the list here. Now, before I start on the list, let me clarify. We are creatures of habit. Despite the changes in the marketplace, we'll still do what we have always done. So this list is for education, but for the right person, it is for taking a different action and looking in places you did not look before. See, I'll give you an example. I have an automatic toothbrush, right? I still don't use it every day, unfortunately, or every time. Why? I just go back to my manual brush and just pick it up and use it. Why? Because we are creatures of habit. We do these things over and over a time period. It's like, I don't want to change. And that's the place you don't want to be. Because if the circumstances has changed, the results will need a different effort, and you and I don't want to put in that effort. We will be casualty, we will be victims. So let's go through this list and see where we can go with that. Okay. So let's start with the keys. Okay. Here is it. The number one thing today is you must be an essential business. And the problem is you can't tell me what's an essential business easily anymore. Like, for example, you might have thought a heart surgeon is an essential business, right? People have heart attacks. Well, I'm sorry to say, if it is postponable, it is no longer essential. Very interesting. Gallbladder surgery may not be essential business. Now you might be saying, Vinesh, cutting hair is pretty essential. Well, it's no longer essential. And the dentist, no longer an essential. You would think a nice restaurant, essential. No, not essential. So you can think of people who used to operate businesses that all you would have think they were essential businesses, but they have been shut down. And the reason they've been shut down is because some politician decides what is essential and what's not essential. I know, I'm not trying to get into politics here, but I want to be very clear. The definition of essential and non-essential is not black and white. To give you an example, in Michigan, our governor has certain things as essential and certain things as non-essential. Weed, which is marijuana, is essential. But just for, I don't know if it has changed now because things keep changing so fast. But if you were using a weed whacker, that was not essential. So, it's just one of those things. It's the whims of the people. But there are still some businesses which are bound to be essential. What are those businesses? Number one is money. Banks are open. Financial services are open. Because guess what? Everybody needs to transact money. So those businesses are open. Number two, essentials like where you can get gasoline is open because people need to drive, at least have some version of transportation. It's open. What are the businesses that are essential? Well, obviously, your local grocery store is open because that's where you get food and vegetables and so on and so forth. So, do you realize that there are certain things which will be known as essential and will be hard for somebody to just come down and say, hey, that's not essential? Why? Because they come as economy just cannot function without them. People need money, can't do without it, right? So people need vegetables or meat, can't operate without it. So what I'm trying to tell you is be as close to essential business definition as you can. So let's go to the next one. Number two, it has to have a high profit margin. Here's what has happened for businesses which have not got any paycheck for 2, 3 months, maybe 4 months, and they're operating on very low profit margin. So let me give you Walmart as an example. Now, Walmart is open and they make money. So I'm not talking Walmart in this specific situation. I'm talking in general terms. Walmart profit is generally less than 5%. Just the reality of it, right? Okay, you go to a grocery store, less than 5%. A restaurant, 10% maybe, not even that much sometimes. Okay, so you pick any one of these, let's say 10% is the profit margin. And you did not make any money for a month, 2 months, 3 months, your profit margin is wiped out, which means what? You're dipping into lost territory. And if your business does not have a high profit margin, you are going to be in trouble. So does your business have a high profit margin? Number three, territorial, right? Is it territorial, which means things cannot operate in Florida? Then what do you do? Things cannot operate in Georgia. What do you do? Like, for example, South Dakota did not shut down. And I don't know how many, they had like 21 deaths. So their governor said there is no reason to shut down. And they didn't, right? Okay, so if you have business in South Dakota, you're fine. But let's say you are in California, where it doesn't look like things are going to open anytime soon. And if you're territorial, you're in trouble. Okay, so you must realize that you cannot depend on certain things in business now. The next one is quickly trained sales force. The sales force should be brought on at a minimum cost and trained in a short amount of time to be productive. Again, you may be one person show, that's fine. Or you might have a team of people. You might have a line of products, or you may have one product. That's not the point. The point is, can you sell quickly? Because if it takes you a long time to sell, then it's not going to be good for you. Okay. So I hope you understand the thinking behind these points here. Let's go to the next one. Selling in person and remotely. See, today, a lot of sales are not being done in person. So if you are not selling remotely, then you will have a problem. You should be able to do transactionally wise in person and remote. So if internet is down, you can still go to the person and sell it. If you can't go to the person, you should be able to do remotely. So you understand the logic behind having both in person and remote simultaneously, correct? Let's talk about easy to provide service. So if it is hard to provide service, like for example, a dentist is a great guy, you might need teeth cleaning or some other work, but right now can't provide, not essential. If it is going to be hard for people to get your service or product, which is why you can be providing the services and the products in as many ways as possible, by email, in person, remotely, mail, etc. Now I realize a lot of businesses may not fit these categories, right? A lot of them may not fit this category. So what? Well, the reality is this is what is happening. If you are somebody who's starting a business, who is looking to grow, this is the place to go. The next is low overhead. Now we talked about high profit margin before, so you understand it must have low office and other fixed expenses like wages. Now, if you have variable expenses and you can control them, that's great. But the fixed expenses like mortgage, right? So many employees, certain transactions like internet and other stuff. If you have high overhead, then you are going to have less profit margin. And now that office spaces may not be as much required as I talked about yesterday. So next one is quick product delivery. The time and expense required for ramping up and providing the product should be low, which is what Amazon Prime is like, next day delivery. It could be today, right? So because people are expecting that today, that overnight FedEx kind of thing is every day now, correct? Quick profit. See, this is one of the challenges a lot of businesses have. You start a typical restaurant or a coffee shop or any of these businesses, it takes 2 to 5 years to run any profit. It just takes a long time because there is so much capital in it. There is so much operating cost in it that the turnaround time usually is quite high. So if you are running a business, you are starting a business, you are looking to invest in a business, ask yourself, how quickly can I turn my money into profit, right? Okay. So let's go to the other one. It cannot be replaced easily. So if you have a product, if you have some value, people should not be able to just get it, because if that's the case, people like Amazon are going to take away your business. It just is going to happen, because whatever you can do, a corporation as big as Amazon is going to find an easier way to do it, maybe cheaper, and they have more control on their inventory, the logistics, etc., than you do. The next is residual income. See, if you have acquired a customer one time and you cannot go back to the same customer to sell again and again and again, then you are not understanding the value of that customer. So there must be two parts to it. One is you can go back to the customer, which means recurring revenue. The second one is the residual, which means once they buy, then they keep buying for a long time. So there is a residual component. And for financial services, people invest. And when they invest, the advisor makes money. And the advisor makes money every time the money grows and so on and so forth, correct? Or some cases have maintenance fees associated with the product or service. Well, if there's a maintenance fee, they're getting recurring revenue, and you put the effort in once and the effort gives you repeat, which means residual income for one time effort. So once you acquire a customer, you keep make money for a long time. So that is the residual component of that. The third is, the next one is passive income. Passive income simply means you must be able to not have to put active time to get income. How does that happen? There are a number of ways to create passive income. Number one is sell products that you don't have to really touch, and they can be by a click of button, somebody can buy, and they can go to your website or whatever else it is. You didn't have to do much. And sometimes affiliate programs, maybe ship and delivery kind of programs are great. I sell some products which are passive. All somebody needs to do is I send them a link, they can just buy. I don't have to do much with it. Okay, that's passive income. The other way to create passive income is investments. So you may have rental properties, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, etc., which also creates income, which is investment related, asset related income. What is another way to do that? You can build a team of people who are producing, and those people who produce, like every sales company, the owner is going to make passive income by salespeople selling and them not having to be the person selling all the time, right? And depending on the way the structure is, you could have less or more passive income from that, correct? Let's go to the next one. This is a market that should not get saturated quickly. Because if it does, then somebody will, obviously, you'll have to be getting out of it. So there should be enough demand, which is a huge demand for the product and growing all the time. So, for example, if you're selling diapers, right? There are kids being born regularly, so the market is not going to get saturated anytime. You're selling bridal related services, people get married, etc. So the market is not going to get saturated, and hence there's going to be a need for what you have to offer. Last but not least, this is the tough one, enough resistance. So this is the opposite of making it everything easy, right? There has to be enough resistance for a new person to walk into the marketplace. Because we talked about that before a little bit, but this is specific. It could be more about the infrastructure required. It could be the type of product which you're providing. It could be the sales cycle that is required. That nobody is going to just come in and say, I can do that in 2 minutes and drive by people. So either there is enough value added that people can't just copy, or the setup, like setting up a refinery in oil, is very tough. It takes a lot of money and time, etc., to do it. Same thing with medical. It takes a lot of time, money, and expertise to get that done. So these are the 15 qualities in the ideal business. So now what I would recommend you to do is sit down and see which ones are those that your business currently already can do. If your business has these qualities, fantastic. But if it doesn't, it's time to evaluate, because it may not be the ideal business which can give you the lifestyle. And when you leave the business, there is enough income potential that you can actually get that sale value, or you can have passive income for the rest of your life, even if you're not the one physically putting in the effort. So once again, thanks again for watching. If you're looking for this information, just go to minesh@mbaxi.com, my email address, and I will send you the information. Talk to you soon. Have fun, and I know we'll have a great program further coming up for you.